Hey, hello everyone. Welcome back to this week's hashtag productivity. There we go, with the Blue Ninjas. And we are super excited to be chatting about customer journeys today. And you might be very unfamiliar with this concept, or you might have heard of it, but you're like, "Oh, I still don't actually know what it is." So I thought it would be a good time to bring in the Blue Ninjas. And I'm going to hand over to you ladies. What is a customer journey and why should we care? I'm sure a lot of our people are asking this question. So over to you guys.
So the customer journey, it's the complete experience that the customer goes through when interacting with your company or your brand. And your brand. It's not just buying the product, delivering the product and getting the money and then off you go. It's good to focus on this, make sure that works really well, but it's important to think about before and after the actual transaction. Things like customer service. Have you got a complaints procedure? Hopefully you won't get any complaints, but when you get one, how are you going to manage it? It's also things like how you represent your brand via your newsletter, any email or telephone communication, your website, your social media. You need to think about all of these. If people comment on your social media posts or comment on your blogs or any videos you've got, you need to make sure you respond, you follow up. A simple thumbs up wouldn't cut it. I went on a course one time and they said, do I have to respond to people? And it's like, well, if you said thank you to somebody in the shop, you wouldn't do a thumbs up. And it's the same sort of thing. It's about making your customer feel valued. So that means they'll come back and they'll tell others about what great service you provided. It does depend on what type of business or service you're providing, but if you make it customizable, it's personal to them, makes them feel special, not like they've gone through a sausage machine and everybody's the same and everybody just gets the same thing over and over again.
Absolutely.
So I recently placed an order online, was looking forward to getting my delivery. And then I got a badly designed email before it even arrived saying, it's about time you gave us a like. I found that quite rude. I hadn't received the product yet. And it was quite assumptive that I was happy with the product. The email was quite badly laid out, didn't fit in the email properly. You had to scroll all over the place. It was too wide. The social media links didn't work. I didn't think it was a good sign. I went back to them there and told them, and given the due, they apologised and took the feedback on board. The reason I got it is because they could see my order is shipped, but I haven't actually arrived yet. So they held their hands up, and again, it's how things go wrong from time to time. We're all humans, but it's how you deal with it, and just making sure you deal with it head on and not ignoring it because it's not going to go away.
I think it's about good feedback, isn't it? Sorry, go ahead, Kristine.
I was just going to say that I often, that exact example that you've provided now, to say, like, rate our service or something along those lines, even before you've experienced the service. Think about how many times you download an app and then as soon as you've installed it, it's like, give us 5 stars. And I'm like, I haven't used you yet. Like, how am I supposed to rate your service? It's ridiculous.
I had one where I bought a product and I used a different email to buy it because Julie and I share an email, and I got one to my other thing saying, "Oh, you're leaving us. How sorry are we?" And like, hang on, I just bought it. You're giving me this tone, and yet we're still using the product. And I came back to them and called them out as well, and just went, "This is not appropriate to send to anyone saying, oh, you're not going to buy our product. Oh, well, go away then." Just that sort of stuff. And you're like, what sort of message are you conveying if I might have come back in 6 months and bought it then? So I think don't just assume that if someone doesn't buy at the time that they're looking for something, that they're not interested. You've got to remember, there's at least 7 touch points that you go through before people possibly make a decision. So it's not like it's a one and done type event with a customer journey.
Absolutely.
It might be that you're on a mobile device. I often am on a device in an evening and think, oh, I'll send that to myself to have a look at next week. It's not like I'm not interested. It's just I'm not ready yet. So,
Exactly. And I think you've hit the nail on the head, Louisa. Sometimes, or very often, it's just a case of the timing isn't right. It's not necessarily that your product isn't well positioned or anything like that. It's just the timing. and how we treat that in between phase between when they're indicated their interest and when they finally buy it. That is really what's going to make or break the deal, right? And that's the whole reason why we have to worry about this customer journey.
Yeah, and I think also when you've got good feedback, talk about it, publicize it, tell others that someone has enjoyed your product or service. That's what you ask for reviews and testimonials for. You need to make sure that if you're wanting to be very proactive about it, make sure you direct people to a platform you want to get reviews on.
Yes.
So,
we were so if you're not on Twitter, right?
Yeah, exactly. I mean, we were so excited. We got our first review on Google, for Google My Business, and it was so exciting. We must remember to follow that one up, Julie. But it was so lovely to get it, and we weren't expecting it through that medium, but we opened up ourselves to allow for reviews through Google. So I think it's allow the opportunities, but also if you get a bad review, go back and talk to the person, say, sorry, we haven't been able to deliver what your expectations were, can you give us more feedback or take it offline?
Yeah.
And there have been a couple of people through LinkedIn, through friends' posts that they've said, I've got this really bad review, what do I do? So they're asking the question of, I wasn't expecting it, I'm not quite sure how to respond to it, can you help me to understand what to do next? And people are very for one of them, it was incredible that he got such a 1-star review. He's an inspirational speaker, and he is that. He's our Everest climber.
Okay.
And it was just the person completely misunderstood what he was doing.
Sure.
And he went back and clarified, but he's like, I wasn't expecting this.
Sure.
So I think it's just a matter of ask others for advice on how to respond if you're really if it causes you anxiety or you're worried. Protect yourself as well, because it's no good getting something that you feel so demoralized because of it. And every user journey is different, and I think your structure and how you deliver a service or a product will be hopefully very structured. You want it to be very productive and flow very well. But every person who communicates with you or responds is going to act differently.
Yes, that makes sense. So Louisa, you started talking about the structuring of the customer journey, because I think sometimes we just think that it's about, you make the sale, we say thank you, or we issue the invoice or something like that, and that's the end and the beginning of the customer journey. So won't you just talk us through the different phases that we need to think through as we are establishing this customer journey?
Yeah, and I mean, every touch point that a customer user has with your business is an opportunity. And I think reflecting that in the way that you set up your programs, or if you're running a course, how do you entice people to come to your course? You might offer something for free to, get them used to it, or come to a webinar and learn about it. It's about building that awareness of what you're trying to sell. And, we're in business to sell something. You're selling a service, a product, whatever it is, you're in business to make some money off people for what you're offering. Otherwise, you're an NGO. But I think with awareness, you're putting yourself out there. You're generating word of mouth with, your friends and family. You want them to talk about it. You want to build ambassadors through this whole process that will tell others about your business. You could do it for free. You could pay for it. So magazine articles, online ads, however you want to convey an awareness message, but that will be the first step is saying, hi, I'm here, everyone.
Sure.
Then there's the level of consideration. So you've said something that someone's gone, ooh, I like that. I'm going to have a little bit of a look. So you're kind of bringing someone into a touch point, and your messaging and the way that you convey that will be, in line with your business. So, you're saying to someone, give me your email and I'll send you some information. So you've now collected a little bit of information about that person, and they're happy to give it to you because they've thought, oh, I like this. This is interesting to me.
Yeah.
They might suddenly go, well, I'm not interested anymore, and unsubscribe. That is absolutely fine, and that's everyone's choice. That's why we have data protection, of course.
Exactly.
But I think what you're looking for is from awareness to consideration, it's only a very tiny move. And it could all happen at once. It might be that as you know, I go back to things, you know, I look at something and think that's interesting. I might send it to Julie and say, we should discuss this, you know, so we give it consideration together, but we've built awareness around it on our own. So I think people react differently to the way that they read information and what it means to them.
Makes sense.
From that point, you're probably going to purchase or try something before buying. So you're moving into an environment where, well, am I downloading it? Am I purchasing it? Is it physical that will be mailed to me? What am I going to get from this?
Sure.
And I think what we learnt a lot with the last few months is people got very nervous about getting mail over Christmas. And it was that, very much so. From the UK to the Netherlands, there was a lot of information from expats saying, my parents have sent me my Christmas present in November. I still haven't got it yet. I'm very anxious about this. And part of that was then we had people that worked in those services going, we're overwhelmed. We are absolutely overwhelmed. You know, it will get to you eventually, but we can't tell you when. So it was kind of moving that purchase through a service and saying, we're really sorry, we can't do much about this. You know, we're reliant on the delivery companies to get what you've purchased to you. We hope that it will clear up soon. So I think there was a lot of concern by people that was alleviated, hopefully a little bit, by we'll get to you eventually. And then in end of January, start of February, people were then posting, I got my package eventually. It only took 2 months, but it got there.
That's
so
yeah,
but it was a mass,
an extended Christmas, right?
yeah. But I think it was a mass concern that everyone came behind and said, this is unusual. So I think as well with your user journey, you know, it was when we started to see photos of, you know, warehouses that were absolutely packed full of boxes, and you're like, wow, you know, we now understand. And often it's just that little story that goes with the, you know, the delay or something that makes people reassured that you haven't forgotten about them.
That's it. You're still important. I acknowledge your concerns. We're still okay.
And I think as well, the way that you convey that, I mean, I had a package that I never got sent the tracking information. The company never delivered it, and then it got shipped back. I only found that out when after a month I went, oh, is something here? Oh, you never answered, you know, we had to pay for it to be returned. And I'm like, hang on, what's happening? It was extremely small business. So I get that they weren't used to an automated response, you know, here's your tracking information, that sort of thing.
Right, yeah.
But they blamed me for my inaction. And that was where I went, I wanted their product. I really wanted to support them. But the attitude was, it was my fault. Because I didn't understand what their service process was.
Sure.
So
that's
I think,
not great.
Yeah, and you know, I really wanted to promote them, but I couldn't after that. I you know, shut them down because it was like, well, you're not going to give my money back because you think I didn't do something.
Sure. Yeah.
So
that's hectic. And I think that sort of also talks to the point about what is the customer's perspective about this. So they could be completely in the right to say that it's your fault, but which I'm sure it wasn't, but you know, it's about how you're communicating around that and almost being able to take that approach of the customer is always right in terms of the way that you communicate. Maybe it's not always true, but making sure that the person still feels valued and that they still have a positive experience regardless, right?
And the companies that do it really well are the ones that said, oh my God, let us help you. Regardless of what the outcome is, as soon as they start saying, there's a problem here, we're going to help you address it, that's when they've got me. You know, even if I can't get the product in the end, I've had it before where it's just never arrived. I don't blame them, and you know, I would never sort of write a 1-star review because it never arrived. But those that make the extra effort to solve the problem, they say, we will contact the courier and find out, or we're going to send you it again because, you know, clearly something's gone wrong. The bigger companies may do that. That's when they've got me, and I will be a repeat buyer, you know, because I trust that they're going to help my user journey if something goes wrong. And that's I think where you get into loyalty. So that's sort of you know, your word of mouth loops back around to raise awareness of the product or service to other people. If you enjoy it, you're going to talk about it.
Absolutely. And word of mouth is the best form of advertising, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Right.
And I think that's the thing that some companies do it amazingly well. Like they have got their customer journey on point. They know exactly how to convey a message. And sometimes that's where really good marketing companies are valuable to come in and help you express that. Small businesses, it doesn't help that much, but look at companies who do it well that you like and see how they phrase it, how they deal with things, and take a leaf out of their book.
You've started talking a little bit about what can make or break a good customer journey. Maybe can we expand a little bit on the idea of what are some pitfalls that we might commonly see happening in maybe even specifically small businesses, and what are some success factors, or what are the commonalities that cause a good customer experience that go along with it?
Yeah, I mean, it's like with anything, when you're mapping a process out, you should think of what we call happy path when it all goes well. But then you should also think about things which don't go so well. What are the possibilities of something going wrong? So things like not responding to things in a timely fashion. You're expecting something to come in. Have you checked your junk folder? Probably check my junk folder maybe 3 times a day at least. And even stuff, sometimes you've actually interacted with that person through email and sometimes it randomly goes in junk. I've no idea why. But also on the flip side as well, if you've been, like I said, already emailing interaction with a potential client, you email the quote and they've not responded to you and you think, oh, they're busy, I'll give them a few days. But again, you might have ended up in their junk folder. It does happen intermittently sometimes.
Absolutely.
I think
sorry, go for it.
Go ahead. I was going to say misunderstandings happen. And, as Julie said, you just have to manage the expectations from that.
Absolutely. And I think it's good also to have a little bit of a structure in terms of your internal process to know that, for example, within 24 hours, I will respond to any communication that's come through, or whatever the case might be, but having some sort of timeline in place, because that just really helps to elevate your level of excellence in terms of your service delivery, right?
Definitely.
Yeah, and I was telling Julie about it was an article that got shared a while ago, and it was a guy that bought a rug, a carpet rug for his room, and he got it, and it was like this big.
No.
and he bought it online. The information wasn't clear. It didn't have any measurements on it. He didn't think to look for that, and then he didn't question why it was so cheap.
I was going to say, you must have thought it was a bargain.
I know. There's something, if you Google funny online shopping fails, there's a whole heap of them, like someone who's bought a chair and the chair's like for a doll's house.
Oh my gosh.
And it happens. And, sometimes it's just so funny. You just can't get over some of this, some of the outcomes of this.
So some of the random outfits also that people have purchased that it just turns out completely differently to the picture. Yeah, those are
There's quite a lot of those, isn't there?
I know. And I think it's happening more and more because people are trying to do things so quickly. They're not taking the time to assess what the customer actually needs to know. And also the customer's probably not going, how much, what's the size of this? So I think it's a bit of give and take from both sides. If you're selling something, you need to be very clear on what you're selling, what the purpose is, what you're getting for it. And then also on the customer side, you've got to be, quite aware of if you're buying something from a large online shop that you've never heard of, that's coming from a different country. And it's like, what are you getting? Is it telling you what you're going to get? And it's the fact that we're a global shopping community now. You've just got to address things as they come, and and one of those ways is to post funny fails.
Julie, would you like to add anything?
Well, successes. Success obviously is repeat business. And happy customers will tell other people, tell their friends, provide testimonials that you can share on all your social media channels and your website. That's your ultimate aim, isn't it? A job well done.
Absolutely. That's on the back from someone else.
Yeah, definitely. It's what we're here for, isn't it? We want to make customers happy, and and if they come back to us or recommend you, that's the best outcome you could ask for.
Absolutely. Okay, well, we always talk about tools. I love tools, and I know you guys do as well. So what sort of tools have you seen that works well in this space? Because I mean, I've seen CRM tools and pipeline deal management and stuff like that, but are there things really relevant to the customer journey?
A website is your point of purchase. You know, someone gets to know you through your website, and I think you need to be aware of how you feed information into your website and where it goes out as well. And I have heard of people saying, oh, I don't need a website to do my business. That is fine, but how do people find out about you? If social media shut down tomorrow, what do you own that is your, you know, your identity? And that's also what a user's looking for. They're looking for consistency. You know, I think there's a sort of a website design that, you know, people look for a home page, an about page, shop page, perhaps, you know, testimonials, contact information. Websites need to have that, because if people get lost trying to work out either how to ask for help or assistance or learn more, the chances are you're going to lose them very quickly. So, you know, a website, a good quality website, however it happens for you, is a really big deal. And I think, and one thing that a lot of marketers will talk about is touch points. You know, how many touch points does it take for someone to buy from you? For a product, you're probably going to have a product page. And then from that product page, you'll have all of your details. And then someone will buy from you. They'll probably go through a different tool to, you know, maybe Stripe or PayPal or credit card, something that can action. In the Netherlands, Ideal is kind of the number one way of buying. So if you don't have Ideal on your website, it just kind of puts an extra level of I guess an extra touch point that someone has to go through and say, oh, it's so easy. You know, I don't have that now. I have to go find my credit card details, or do I actually want to buy this right now? So I think it works in the country that you're in about how people buy. You know, I love now the sort of, I don't even know if it's Tiki Pay. It's like Apple Pay or something very convenient that you can pay a small amount of money through your phone with your phone number. I mean, that stuff makes it so easy to do business for small businesses. You know, don't discount the small stuff that feels like it's too easy, because people love ease. they love the way of being able to get to what they want without having to jump through too many hoops.
Absolutely. You know, if you can get from the initial touch point to the end in like 2 clicks or less, like, you know, you're living the dream here.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. You've just got to be a bit careful on big sites like Amazon, because you might have accidentally bought some of them with the 2-click thing. And I'm just like, did I buy it? I thought I was just looking. Oops. So yeah, maybe not too easy.
Be careful of too much simplicity.
Yes, that's true.
But also, why are you collecting someone's information? If someone wants my date of birth, they better be a bank or something, because there's no reason for someone to need my date of birth otherwise. You know, so be smart with your data as well, because if you've, I mean, Julie and I are updating our website to put on some of our resources that we want to give away, and also we're going to sell. I'm struggling to work out how to take out the address information, because it's like, I don't need people's address for them to buy something from us. You know, we're giving downloads, but I'm struggling to find a way of getting rid of it from the tool I'm trying to use, and madly you know, searching for information to say, I don't need that data. I don't want to ask people for that data, because why would someone want to give it? Exactly. So, you know, so I think it's, why are you collecting what you're collecting? Where does it go? So what do you do with that? Do you have an automation that goes through the tool that someone's used to buy? Or do you want to send them a follow-up? Therefore, you know, maybe a CRM is quite good to use. So it's sort of thinking about, as Julie said at the start, it's not just their purchase, it's what do you do afterwards? How do you engage with that person and say, you know, follow us on social media, do this, do that. Give them an idea about what you want them to do after they've purchased, you know, give us feedback.
And, you know, there's some really simple things around, you know, if you're buying online gift cards, greetings cards. I've been doing that quite a lot because getting posted around is quite tricky. But actually, I've seen a few clever things this year, so like Mother's Day, Father's Day, people being a bit more considerate and saying, If you want to opt out of these reminders, let us know. So that's quite thoughtful. I've seen that this year because, you know, if you have lost a family member, last thing you need is those general reminders of that day of the year that, you know, they're not there, sort of thing. So that's quite thoughtful, and I have seen that this year.
Absolutely, that's great.
Julie, I was going to say, we talk about customer bots a lot. I think you've got some opinions of those.
I really don't like them. I do talk to them in the most simplest terms, like, I want to do this, this is wrong. And it's just like, I don't understand. I don't understand. I'll pass you on to human. And I think I'm actually going to, you know, people talk about this on IVRs, you know, through selecting a phone, when you're using the phone, is some people say, I'm sick of all the options, I just keep pressing 9, and I'm just like, well, I don't know what I might get there, especially if I'm ringing the doctors. Might end up with an ambulance outside. That's not ideal. But yeah, so it's what works for you and what your it's not, well, what's for you is one consideration. The other consideration is what are your customers going to respond to, because if they've got some really simple, quick queries and you're not available, is the bot going to answer them or just going to really annoy them?
Exactly. I agree with that.
Yeah, and we've had some really strange things as well. You know, we've talked about the, oh, you're not going to buy from us. And I actually got, I think it was a newsletter that I signed up to, and somebody started it with "Hi, love." Like, and I could see which CRM they were using. I was like, right, so you invested some really good money in a CRM, and then you're just going to write a really casual email. I'm not your love. I'll send you a message saying that's me and subscribe. See you later.
Oh gosh, no, that's creepy.
Yeah. I think
don't do that.
Don't guilt people into buying something. You know, I know that also marketing, it's like they use fear terms to make it your attention, but it's like, there are ways of doing this subtly, and you know, and as we say, the user journey, it's about building a rapport and a relationship with someone that, you know, they'll buy and talk about you. If they don't buy, they might still talk about you. So don't discount what someone's opinions could be of what you're selling, because you know, every user journey is different. But I think you could use, as you say, tools and build up productivity to make sure that the user journey is as smooth, you're communicating well, you've got, you know, people having a good experience each time. Even just a card in an envelope that gets sent with something you've purchased, it can make people's day.
Absolutely. This beanie that I'm wearing came all the way from the Netherlands. I am not one of the Blue Ninjas customers or anything, but yet I have had a really positive experience with them. So kudos to you guys for making sure that you're managing your customer journey well. It's been really cool. And as you can see, we are all wearing this. We are all representing the Blue Ninjas today. So this is just a good example of what you might want to do. I was not expecting a parcel to be coming all the way from overseas if my collaborators in Port Elizabeth are not even sending me stuff. So I'm very impressed. Well done.
Come on, Port Elizabeth, get your act together.
Come to the party.
You won't be able to open your front door now for all flowers and chocolates and things that are going to be there.
I think we underestimate often the value of something little, right? It could be a bunch of flowers, as you said, Julie, or, you know, it doesn't have to be expensive. Sometimes I think when lockdown was announced in South Africa and we weren't allowed to distribute alcohol and all of those sort of things, just before the announcement went out, one of my network colleagues decided that they were going to purchase a case of beer for all of their clients. And it might have been expensive at the time, but the rapport and the impact that has created with their customers was just so significant. So think about such small things that you can do in your business to also just generate some positive reviews and positive user experience for sure. So we've been talking this month about our productivity challenge, and this is part of it, to say how can you think through your customer journey, to automate something to some degree, at least have a process in place and understand what are those touch points, and at what point in time do you need to follow up on each of those, because I think that's an area where a lot of businesses are lacking. For example, that 24-hour turnaround time on your emails, or within 12 hours, for example, responding to any messages that are coming out on social media, because those are really just opportunities to make such a big difference in the user experience. So start thinking about how you can map those out. Okay, awesome. Ladies, do you guys have any final thoughts you would like to share with us?
No, all good.
I think thanks for giving us the opportunity to talk about it, because it's such a valuable element of a business's toolkit, and it's often forgotten. So thumbs up to you, Kristine, for talking about it this month.
And it's not theory, is it? Because it's not the theory of business. It's doing business and doing business well and being memorable.
Absolutely. Yeah, so I want to encourage all our listeners to go find some templates that you can potentially go follow. And Louisa and Julie, if you guys would like to share anything with our audience, please let us know to go check out specific links or anything like that, and they can find out more information. And even if you want to be so brave as to share your customer journey as well, I'm sure that our listeners would be able to learn a lot from that. So yeah, thank you so much for joining us again, and I look forward to chatting to you guys again in April, which is, can you believe it, around the corner, 2 weeks away. It's like time. Awesome. Okay, thank you so much. We'll see you guys next time. Bye bye.
Take care. Bye.
Bye.